na no ada yeba eba be breaking wa ha edemam say Yoko ahande all over the cases to attorney general docket bi a ekura omo bia no omo ahande over to attorney general na ne nyoma bi ekoso ewo political highway ne so aha gossip politics TV so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update bi a be drop no wonso wonsa ebetumi akabe na busu aden na ekoso ewo political highway ne so ene yɛda sɔre a ɛyɛ BNI, BNI anaasɛ NIB abusua. Finally, ɔmo nso cases a ɔmo wɔ nyinaa abusua sisi ano ɔmo afanalize ɔmo docket a ɔmo de akɔma attorney general sɛ ɔmo prosecute case no to court. Fast track court no ho nsɛm a na yɛka no abusua sisi ano BNI for nso ɔmo handle over ɔmo cases to attorney general Richard Japa ɛne ne nkɔɔfoɔ after say auditor general drop in a report no BNI for ɔmo te ɔmo sɛ no nneɛma ɛɛkyɛ nti no ɔmo submit cases ne nyinaa de akɔma attorney general so take quick actions on ɔmo docket a wa file de akɔma ɔmo over almost 25 cases ɛna wa former files a docket no de akɔma attorney general sisi a Felix Ofosukwakye de ɛho nsɛm ababetu amom yɛnkɔ na yɛnkɔ tie nsɛm a ɛkɔ so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update we be drop no wonso wonsa ebetumi akabi aha gossip politics TV so bedamase.
And I have you all speak because there's a lot that Felix Ofosukwakye would have to respond to regarding Operation Recover All Loot. Sure. It's just a propaganda tool that was deployed for you to win this election.
I will start by dismissing that propaganda from Kofi and his folks. You see, that whole propaganda is hinged on that. Let me start by saying that no NPP person will ever support Ura.
He says he's
No. I'm saying that no NPP person will ever support Ura, maybe with the exception of a few. So Kofi and his hardcore NPP propagandists will do everything in this world to discredit Ura because there's a political motive for it. But there are more reasonable elements in society who look forward to improvements in the way that public finances are managed, who retain hope that through such activity, first of all, we'll be able to punish those responsible and then put in place measures to avoid their recurrence. That is where the conversation should be focusing. But that's what the propaganda Kofi and Co are showing. To begin with, nobody had said that we're going to recover 21 billion. We speak about the value of the cases. In other words, the projects for which the corruption allegations have arisen total this amount. So let me give you an example. National Service, when we started, we thought the amount involved was around 600 million cedis. Then the Auditor General did an audit and found that up to 2 billion Ghana cedis, which in today's terms is $2 billion, had been embezzled through the National Service scheme. However, if you hold the people, you are unlikely to get 2 billion because they may have squandered the money or done other things that make it impossible for you to get as a country. So it is what you get from them that you recover and give to the state. So that propaganda.
So
these are the projects involved.
This is what the oral preparatory
absolutely.
During the and we all concede, right? This is a public document.
So take the Bank of Ghana for example.
I'm coming.
Alfred, take the Bank of Ghana for example.
Cost of financial scandals listed.
Yes,
it's an estimate.
So I'm on the floor, Kofi. I kept
no problem.
You see, Alfred.
When
so
you
for instance, the Bank of Ghana building, I've recently found out that it actually cost $400 million.
$400 million.
Exactly.
That's lower than what is.
Yes, I've recently discovered that it actually cost $400 million, not the $250 million we had initially thought.
The new Bank of Ghana.
Absolutely. So the building is there. How are you ever going to hold anybody and get $400 million when the building has been put up and it's a state property? So if you were ever to go into it and we're going to do recovery, you were only going to get a part of it. Is it realistic today that you will get $2 billion from Beauty Owari or Mr. SLC? So we need to cut out the propaganda and focus on facts. Alfred, what had happened was this. There were unprecedented levels of corruption. In fact, you in the media every day fed us with corruption scandals to a point where people even became fed up. So there was a need to do something about this sort of corruption and rot. So the NDC, as an alternative to the government that was supervising the rot, said that if we ever got opportunity to run the country again, we were going to implement Operation Recover All Routes, which could only have meant that we will use the legal process to hold those responsible accountable. And then once we have succeeded in holding them accountable, recover what it is that they are alleged to have stolen. That is what it was about. In opposition, there was nothing we could do until we got power. So President Mahama wins elections. And then on 18 December, that is in the period that he was waiting to formally be sworn in as president, he sets up the Oral Committee to gather as much information as they can get. The Oral Committee itself didn't have any power or locus to prosecute anybody. Yes. And that was never what was said about their work. Indeed, I issued a statement. My exact words were that they were a preparatory committee. So we put together people we believed had capacity to help with it. When they started their work, he will tell you, they got over 2,000 allegations against people. They sifted through and saw that around 280 of them had some basis.
Out of the 2,000?
Out of the 2,000. Because it's not everything that people come to tell you that you run it, because you would run yourself around, because really, there will be no substance to it. So they brought 280 cases in a report. That report, you cannot take to court to secure any conviction. Yeah. You needed to get accredited state agencies close with the power and capacity to do investigations, and then put together dockets to give to the Attorney General, who would review and satisfy himself that indeed there is basis to prosecute, and then he will proceed. So the claim that oral is dead is blatantly false. It is NPP propaganda intended to discredit an exercise that will expose wrongdoing under them. That is all. Regrettably, there are elements in the NDC too who have taken the bait.
No, but are you saying that there's really no basis for even persons within the NDC?
Yeah, but so I'm going to demonstrate to you that there's no basis for it. Listen, I'm going to demonstrate to you. I'm going to demonstrate to you. Listen, no, I'm going to demonstrate to you that there's no basis. I understand the desire to have speedy prosecutions because of the extent of the rot. Indeed, if you are an NPP person and you are citing an NDC person's expression of frustration as reason why you are happy, you are actually indicting yourself. You are saying that people are impatient for you to be gold for corruption. That's what you are saying. And it is not a flattering position to be. You are admitting that you were corrupt, except that nothing has been done to you yet. But the point I wish to make is that what could oral do? It was always going to be premised on the rule of law. And I was here 2 weeks ago and I told you that nowhere in the oral promise did we ever promise to use extrajudicial means. We can only use the judicial process.
Domelo, for reference, the certain pace at which
of course, so I'm coming to explain that
oral should have
I'm coming to explain it. You can only work with what you have. We for decades we have all lamented the slow pace of cases in court. It is a decades old.
And the tool in the game is evident.
Absolutely. And the decades old is a decades old criticism leveled at the judiciary of Ghana. It's nothing new. So that criticism itself is not an indictment on oral. But you see, the government of Ghana cannot come and tinker with the judiciary for the sole purpose of achieving a political end. The most we can do is to use the law to see if we can carry out some reforms to make the process a bit more satisfactory than before. So indeed, I have sat in cabinet. A bill to reintroduce the tribunals has been approved by cabinet. It should be in parliament by now. Once it is approved, the tribunals will be brought back.
And that will ensure some
to, among other things, deal with some of these matters and matters involving galamsey and other offenses, so that we can speed up a bit. But a slow judicial process is not the same as inefficiency on the part of government in implementing oral. So what has happened since oral came? The oral cases were spread amongst 3 agencies: the police CID, the NIB, and the Yoko.
Before you go on to that, but how do you answer the question? You knew about this slow judicial process, but yet made promises that were hinged on a certain pace at which.
No, but who spoke about pace? First of all, who said, for instance, that we will jail everybody under 1 year? Who said that? If you can give me that, we will move on. So what is the basis for saying that if after 1 year, everybody...
You have the power to jail people.
No, it's just by word of expression. What I'm saying is that, so if after 1 year, as we have now, everybody has not been put in jail, how do you say that oral has failed? Did we ever say that in 1 year we jail everybody? Did we ever say that we jail everybody in 1 week or even in 10 years?
No.
You understand me? If you let me land, you understand the point I'm making? So it's important to dismiss propaganda and separate it from facts. So what have the agencies been up to? NIB, for instance, they have looked into 27 cases. They have produced dockets In other words, they have invited people, questioned them, cautioned them, and built a docket and presented same to the Attorney General for action. Iyoko, they have over 40 such cases. In the case of NIB, over 43 people have been affected, including Judgement, who only this week was all over the place claiming that nobody had touched him.
But what happened to him?
Meanwhile, he had been brought in, he had been questioned, he had been cautioned.
When did this happen?
Last year.
Caution on what exactly?
When you are cautioned, it simply means that they take your statement, indicating that you have been brought under a certain...
Question and
caution
on two
what?
cases. On two
cases.
cases. The Sputnik V vaccine case, and then the Frontier case involving COVID-19 testing at the airport. That has happened. Of course, it is not in all cases that it is highlighted. There are instances where political party operatives mass up and they get lawyers to say it, so then it becomes public. But not all. In fact, I can give you a rundown. For instance, the National Service Authority case, it involves gift to Awari Mensah, and I don't do this with satisfaction. No, it is necessary. I don't do this to embarrass or humiliate anybody. But it is necessary to show that people stop. Exactly. So give to Awari Mensah and OCSB, National Service Authority. Iyoko finished it, gave the docket to the Attorney General. He has done it. He is in court. Indeed, I think last week or so, the court indicated that we were going to do case management. It is part of the process. And lawyer Pia Kubu and Martin Bebu will bear me out. The Sputnik V case, I have told you. Indeed, as I speak, 2 dockets are ready. And in the coming weeks, the Attorney General will take him to court and charge him for these 2 cases. Again, the Accra Sky Train project, it involves Solomon Asamoah, who was the CEO of GIF, and then Professor Amario Kunfi. So they are also in court. Now,
can only bring in 2,500 more police officers. 2,500. I mean, other ranks, and then 500 cadets. So when you put that, that's just about 3,000. Meanwhile, we have 130,000 that are opting to join the police. With the Ghana Immigration Service, by the time we closed the portal, to our utmost shock, there were more applicants to the Ghana Immigration Service than even the Ghana Police. The total of over 180,000 young men wanted to join the Ghana Immigration Service. But the interesting thing is that today, the Ghana Immigration Service, the strength from the Comptroller General to the last officer at immigration stands as 18,300, less than 20,000. Yet you have 180,000 opting to join. And unfortunately, because of the space, the fiscal space, we could only have a space for 1,000. We could have space for only 1,000. When you come to Ghana Fire Service, by the time the portal closed, there were 124,000 applicants. 124,000 applicants for Ghana National Fire Service. Meanwhile, the current National Fire Service, from the chief fire officer to the last officer, they are just about 17,000 plus.
This is what Muntaka Mohammed was talking about. Police, immigration, fire service, prisons. 500,000 applications. What that means is that it's not 500,000 applicants. I think that explanation was given. That is actually about 340,000 thereabout. There are people who apply to multiple
the unique
institutions.
value is 340,000.
348,000, okay. Yes. And for just 5,000 slots across all 4. And this is what we have clearly given you an idea of what the Ghana Scout Service gave us in terms of the labor force as we have it and the net jobs. And the concern is the age bracket in terms of the 2 million unemployed persons in the country. A lot of them within that active youthful bracket of 15 to 35 years. And a number of them were the ones who were trying to get into this. There was also persons who are in employment but wanted to change jobs. So we had some information to that effect as well. In the Ghana Police Service, 130,000 applications were received for just 3,000 slots. That's about a little over 2 percentage points people who will enter. Immigration, 180,000 applications received, just 1,000 available slots. And then fire service, same situation, 124,000, just a fraction. And then your prisons, 71,500 slots. So really, what could have been done differently than, because if I say you, I'm talking about the position that the minority espoused, that the persons who couldn't go beyond this aptitude test should have their monies refunded. Why is that?
Why not? I mean, for me, I think these are young people who are trying to find a means to survive. The process itself is daunting. I mean, the fact that you are not assured even if you are going to be selected in the end of the process is even more challenging for the young people. And then also, aside from the application fee that you are paying, there are other fees that you incur. For example, if you have to travel, if you have to, in this case, people have to go to internet cafe to do the aptitude test and all of these things. But look, let's really step back and ask ourselves a few questions. I think, putting politics aside, this government needs to really pay attention to recruitment. You know, just last year, I think around August last year, we had a very unfortunate circumstance where we lost 6 people through a recruitment process. So one would have thought that once we've moved or shifted the entire process to online and means to sort of reduce the human intervention, we will essentially make it even more flexible and smooth for people. First of all, you buy the forms for 220 cedis. You either go to a bank or you pay through a short code. Then you get a voucher. Then with the voucher, you go online to apply. Once you apply, then you submit your supporting documents, etc. The algorithm will then look at the data you've input into the system, being it your grading and all the information, your height, whatever you put in, and determine whether you qualify or not. If you qualify, then you do a printout and go to what we call body selection. And then once you qualify the body selection, then you go to the next step of doing the aptitude test. And then once you pass, you go through the medical stage. So it's a very tedious process that every young person has to go through to be able to get employed. Right. Now, we are being told that 506,000 people, not people, applications, because as you've rightfully said, 348,000 unique, but at least 506,000 applications came in. If you multiply that by 220, you are looking at 111 million Ghana cedis. Yeah. That is going to, now at this point, the whole process has been centralized. So you don't even know where the money is going to. Is it going to the Ministry of Interior, or is it going to the various security agencies? That's a question I think we need explanation on. But at least 11 million Ghana cedis to them. Now, the question is, the government is saying that 100,000 of them are now going to move on because they've passed the aptitude test to do medicals. From what I've been told, it's 1,600 cedis for the medicals. Meaning, if the government is to ask all the 100,000 people to do the medicals, we are looking at an additional 160 million of monies the youth have to pay. So you ask yourself, young people are looking for work. Combine 111 million plus 160 million. You are looking at the government taking from the youth 270 million Ghana cedis, roughly $27 million. Is this how we want to create employment for young people in this country? And that is why some people have argued that, could this be a Ponzi scheme? Is it a deliberate ploy to take money from young people for state agencies that are suffering from, getting the right allocations as a means for them to get some money? I mean, these are questions that are lingering. I'm not taking a firm position, but they are worthy questions to be interrogated.
Busua we ne ensema ekọ so our political highway so Felix Ofosuku achi na yete nka say ode saa ensem no etudwa e de amaya enye asem keto akra unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update we ever drop no ha bia no won so won sa ebetumi akabi medamase.